Hey everybody, this is Jennifer. Someone asked me to do a video about how I handle returns. I put up 4 items that were returned in the past 30 days. So this is actually a good time for me to do it because I've had a few more returns than I normally do. And the reason is I made a mistake on 2 of them that is a very similar mistake. Don't worry about making errors. Like right now I'm learning about clothes, so I'm making quite a few errors either in the auction or in describing something. And before I even started, I got it in my head I'm just going to be okay with anything that comes up, because the only way you're going to learn is if you make mistakes. You know, and this is something that you potentially could live off of. And you know, to have a career that or a business that you can live off of, people go to school and spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to learn something that they can live off of. And right now there's so many of you out there that are teaching yourself how to do this eBay business. And it's so funny because if we make an error, we beat ourselves up about $20. Like, oh, I made a mistake and it cost me $20 or it cost me $100. That's nothing if you think about what people pay to learn something that they can make a living off of. So don't beat yourself up about any mistakes you might make that cost you a few dollars. Okay, about the returns, I do have hassle-free returns. So you want to return something, any reason you want to return something, you are more than welcome to return it. It's not a problem. Now, don't think hassle-free returns are going to increase the amount of people that return items. It does not. It only makes them more comfortable with buying your item, that they're not going to have a problem if they have to return it. You got to remember, them going through the whole issue of buying something, paying for it, they don't want to return it to you. This is not like their goal to return something to you. It's a pain in the neck for them too. So, you know, just feel comfortable with, if you are going to accept any kind of return, put it out there, do the hassle-free returns, and let them know in the auction. Say, hey, you have a problem, you know, I'm here for you, just let me know, I'll make it right. You know, brag about it kind of, because you might as well. It's definitely a selling point in your auction. So the first item is just a pair of jeans. It was a loose boot cut Levi. And now the funny thing is she's returning it because it's loose. The leg is loose, but that's exactly how the cut is. So I just went, hey, great, return it. I'm going to relist that, and I'll probably still make a couple of dollars on the jeans, so no big deal. Here's Eddie Bauer pants. They just didn't fit correctly. They're returning the item. They went through the hassle-free returns. I already refunded them, and it's already relisted. And if it sells, it'll either break even or make a couple of dollars. Now here is my mistake. I am not good with materials, whether they're real, whether they're fake. I'm horrible. I mean, the whole thing with the clothes, it's funny I'm doing clothes because I'm not that person that knows brands. I mean, everything has been a complete learning experience for me. And, you know, so if you don't know something, you can learn it. I mean, it's not difficult to learn. It's gonna take some time. So I thought, well, I could just list it anyway and I'll just tell them in the item description. Well, then I really should have left leather out of the description. That was like totally my fault. I didn't put faux after it with a question mark. I did nothing to indicate that this wasn't leather. However, in the item condition notes right here and in the item description, I said I am not sure. There's no tag in it. It's possibility it's faux leather. I'm not 100% certain. Whether this person just rolled the dice on this and thought, well, maybe it is leather and then it'll be worth more than I'm paying, or they did. I'm thinking they didn't, because they would not respond to me, even though what I did with this is I said, keep the item, because they were very aggressive about how they were phrasing this. They said that the pictures didn't represent the item. Well, I don't understand that, because that's the item. That's what I took a picture of. And there's all these little details in there. And then he's saying nothing was as described. And so I said, hey, you know, keep the item. I'm so sorry, you know, if it was misleading in any way. And I said to him, I did put in the condition notes and I did put in the item description that I wasn't sure, but I'm sorry if this was confusing. Now, normally I would take the return, but since he was so aggressive in his wording, I just wanted to diffuse this, you know. And again, it kind of was my fault. The way he was handling it was probably a little bit inappropriate, but it was my fault. So now I have learned. But unfortunately, before I learned, I did the same thing here. Now it says faux fur suede coat. Now in my brain, that made sense. It's a faux fur suede coat, meaning both the fur and the suede were faux, and that's not how everyone read it. They read it that it was faux fur, but real suede. Again, that was my fault. So there you go. Unfortunately, this item was extremely heavy, and it cost me like $10 to ship it, and then it cost me $10 to ship it back. And so altogether, it was like $25 loss, right? So, but then you know what I did? I was kind of sick of this coat at this point because I had it for so long. I didn't want to see it again. I didn't want to relist it. I sent it to the flea market, and I sold it there for $20. So I only lost $5. So again, it seems like a big thing. Oh, look, I sold it for $80 and now they're returning, and no, not really. At the end, I only lost $5. I learned something very valuable. Don't pay attention to everything you're doing. Read it as if you don't know what the item is. Like in my head, that worked out, but obviously the person reading it did not see it that way. So, but again, all these were handled the same way. Absolutely return it. No problem whatsoever. You're going to get a full refund. You're not going to be out a dime. Because any of the auctions that are returns that are your error, I really recommend you offer to pay for that return shipping. Offer it before they even ask, because it's your fault. If they leave a negative, you can't even go to eBay and say, hey, that's not correct. You just have to eat it, and that's going to affect your sales. So, just step up when you make an error and just make sure you're making it right for that customer who wasted a tremendous amount of time on your error. All right. And with all of this and those two earlier returns where people were saying it doesn't fit them, I have a return coming from Bonanza for a denim jacket. The same thing. Oh, it was bigger than I thought. So I wrote him, I said, absolutely return it, but I said, you may want to look at those measurements next time, you know what I mean, and compare it to a jacket that you have. And I can't tell you how many times I say that where the person goes, oh, I didn't think about that. That's a great idea. So you may think, wow, I'm putting the measurements in the auction, so I'm covered. That person has those measurements and they can know whether this item fits them. People don't even think of comparing it to items that do fit them well at all. So I would say, you got to realize, if you have to put a suffocation warning on a plastic bag because someone might hand it to their toddler where they'll suffocate themselves, they're not going to understand what to do with inches that you're giving them on the measurements of the garment that you're putting up for sale. They just look at it and go, oh, okay, and they're not realizing they should be comparing that to something that they have. So what I did was I put this right here, right above the measurements that I have in the auction. It says, please refer to the measurements as well as the size before buying. Measurements do vary within the same size, even within the same brand size. Meaning because I've had people say this, if you have a pair of Express jeans that are a size 6, it doesn't mean every Express jean that is a size 6 is going to fit you, because they're cut differently. And they change over the years, you know what I mean? So always go by the measurements. And then I said the best way to assure a great fit is compare the measurements to another similar garment that fits you well. So I'm literally kind of walking them through it. And so if it stops, hey, if that stops maybe 5 returns a year, it was well worth it. It's just a copy and paste. You're just adding something to the copy and paste that you put in the auction. So I do recommend putting this above your measurements. If you do measurements, and I really recommend you do, I really recommend that you put that above it, because I'm telling you, a lot of people don't know what to do with those measurements. Okay, I hope this was helpful. This is just how I do it. Everyone kind of gets into their own thing and the way they do things, and some things work for some people that do not work for others. So find something that works for you. I hope this video was helpful, and I'll be coming out with another sales update video soon, and I'll see you next time. Bye.